What's up, 7th grade? Mr. Agnos here. This video is for homework 19-3. And for this assignment, we're going to be solving two-step inequalities. Two-step inequalities. And remember, solving inequalities is exactly the same as solving equations. We're going to use, right? We're always going to do the opposite, right? We're always going to do the opposite. Except with inequalities, our answers look a little different. And we have the big curveball, where if we're going to multiply or divide by a negative number, we need to flip the inequality symbol. So right now what I want you to do is I want you to write two things down. Remember, this is the process for solving a two-step equation or a two-step inequality, right? Step one is always to undo the addition or subtraction. And then step two was always undo the multiplication or division. Okay, so this remains the same. And then we have our curveball, which I'm going to write that down as well, right? If you multiply or divide by a negative, if you multiply or divide by a negative number, flip the symbol. All right, so just take 2 minutes. Write this down right now on a piece of scratch paper so that as you're doing, so again, pause the video, write this down on a piece of scratch paper. That way, as you're doing these problems, you have like a recipe almost to follow, right? You're going to undo addition or subtraction, undo multiplication or division. And again, on this last step here, if you multiply or divide by a negative number, we have to flip the inequality symbol. Okay, so for some of these problems, you have to write the inequality and then solve it. So let's take a look here. I'm going to do the first three, I think. I'm going to do number 1, number 2, and number 3. So it says, which situation does the inequality 3 plus 4n is less than or equal to 40 represent? And I'm going to show you how I approach these problems. So here's the inequality we're looking at, and they get a terrible 0. And they give us 3 different situations, and one of these situations can be represented using this equality. All right, choice A says you need to read 40 pages of a novel. All right, you don't have to read 41, right? You need to read at least 40, right? So far I'm thinking, okay, the number of pages I read here is less than or equal to 40. You read 4 pages per minute. All right, this is a 4n. This could be 4 pages per minute. After how many minutes will you have fewer than 3 pages left? All right, I'm reading A here, and I'm not sure. To be honest, I'm just not sure. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to come back to A. Right? I'm going to come back to A. I'm going to see if I can eliminate some other ones. You need to read 40. That's kind of thinking that it should be greater than or equal to 40, right? I need to read at least 40. This says I could read 25 or 30, right? Less than or equal to means I could read some amount less. So I'm really thinking that it can't be choice A. You need to read 40 pages of a novel. You read 3 pages per minute. Well, right there, 3 pages per minute, that's going to be 3 times some variable. Well, we have 4 times a variable, right? And we also have the same 40-page problem. So I'm going to cross off A and I'm going to cross off B. Now let's take a look at C. You have $40 to buy your friend's lunch. That means that's all you got. You cannot spend more than that. Well, that makes sense with this part right here, right? Whatever we spend on lunch has to be less than or equal to 40. So far this is looking pretty good. Each lunch costs $4. Right? Each lunch costs $4. That looks pretty good with this part right here, right? You know, the number of people times $4 per lunch. And we're going to share a $3 dessert. Well, that's one dessert. So there's my $3. So it really looks like choice C fits this perfectly. Right? Here's my dessert plus $3 dessert plus $4 per lunch. And all of that has to be less than or equal to $40. So I'm going to go choice C. Got it. So just go slow. And literally, I kind of act them out. I kind of act them out in my head, like, what's actually happening here? If you're unsure, if it doesn't immediately make sense, like, yeah, this is it, or yeah, it's not it, just leave it. Go to the next one. Try and eliminate it, a couple, and then maybe one will make perfect sense, right? All right, let's take a look at, so that's an example where you just have to write the problem. They don't ask you to solve that. All right, a farmer has 24 bushels of apples and can harvest 22 bushels of apples each day. So let's start with this first part. A farmer already has this much. All right, it's like that's in the bank. So that's 24 bushels. And they can harvest 22 bushels of apples each day. So again, this is 22 per day. 22 per day. So this is going to be a plus 22. And it looks like the variable they're using here is n, right? So n would represent the number of days. So over here, I'll say n equals number of days. All right, we already have 24 in the bank, and we're adding 22 bushels per day. In how many days will she have more than 125 bushels? So we want this amount, 24 plus 22n, to be more than 125. So this is the one I'm looking for. All right, so I'm scanning here. I have 22n plus 24. Remember, just because the order is different here than I have it, when you add two things, the order doesn't matter. All right, 3 plus 2 and 2 plus 3, they're both equal to 5. The problem with this one is it has the less than or equal to. All right. Choice B, this has some subtraction going on here. I'm not saying it couldn't be this, so I know it's not this one, right? This is the wrong symbol. I'm not saying it couldn't be this one. I'm just going to leave this one alone and see if there's a better choice that's more obvious. Look at choice C, 22n, that's 22 bushels per day, plus the 24 we already have is greater than 125. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. That one fits perfect. Okay. So again, I wasn't sure that it wasn't this one, but I went to see if there were better choices, and as soon as I looked, it was obviously this one. All right, we haven't actually had to solve one yet. Let's make sure we know how to solve one of these things. All right, this one says write and solve. All right, 3 times a number plus 12 is more than 15. 3 times a number. Let x be the number. Well, 3 times a number is 3x. Plus is plus. Remember, math is a language, and what we're doing here is we're taking this statement that's written in English and we are translating it into math. Plus 12. Here's 12. Is more than. More than. There it is. And then the final one is 15. 3 times a number plus 12 is more than 15. Okay, so here's where we do our 2 steps, right? Step 1 is undo, addition, or subtraction. So since we're adding 12, I'm going to subtract 12 from both sides. Those cancel. I get 3x is greater than 15 minus 12 is 3. Your paper should look exactly like my work right here. All right, what I'm learning from working with some kids in person is that they haven't been writing things down, right? It's impossible to do math without writing things down. So you should have scratch paper and copy it exactly the way I'm doing it. It keeps your mind organized. 3x is greater than 3. Since we're multiplying by 3, let's divide both sides by 3. If I multiply and divide by the same number, they cancel, and I get x is greater. 3 divided by 3 is 1. I went too far. 3x plus 12 is greater than 15. So let's find it. 3x plus 12 is greater than 15. There it is. So the solution is x is greater than 1. So I'm gonna delete this. I'll rewrite x is greater than 1 up here. So we're looking for the graph that shows x is greater than 1. So we want an open circle that points to the right. So I want a graph that looks like this. So choice A, I have an open circle at 1, and the graph points to the right. Boom, there it is. I'm just going to double check really quick. This one goes to the left, and it's closed circle, and it's at 2 anyway. This one starts at 2, closed circle, so that one's no good. This one is an open circle, and it is at 1, but this shows all the numbers less than 1. So it is choice A. Got it. Okay, so there's 3 examples. None of those involved flipping, right? I didn't have to multiply or divide by a negative. There are problems on this assignment where you do multiply or divide by a negative. So remember, as soon as you write on your paper, times -3 on both sides, or as soon as you divide by -4 on both sides, think to yourself, I got to flip the pancake, right? I got to flip or it's not going to work. All right, remember these videos are just to get you started. Make sure to ask lots of questions in class. See you guys soon.